20 participants.
21 goes up by the second.
Yeah. Wait 1 or 2 minutes.
We're gonna start right now. It is 12:30, folks. Thank you very much for what would be session number 4 of 6 for me here in Hotlanta. My name is Mark Jones. I'm based here locally in Atlanta with Georgia Educational Solutions. I've known these two gentlemen on screen for more than 20 years now, and they do a phenomenal job north of the border with a range of teaching and learning resources for North America. Jean and Stephen, I'll introduce them in just a moment, introduced me to a very interesting new product recently known as SkillVeri, and deals with a range of virtual spray painting as well as virtual welding. So without anything further, I would like to introduce Mr. Jean Lariviere, President of Cognisco Technologies. Jean, you have the ball.
Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated. Good morning to you all, and welcome to the SkillVeri Spray Painting and Welding Workshop, or virtual workshop, should I say. As Mark said, I'm Jean Lariviere. I'm the president of Cognisco Technologies. The company has been around since 2005. And today I'm joined with my business partner and vice president of Cognisco, Stephen Perron. In a nutshell, who are we? Cognisco Technology is in the business of providing technologically based solution for CTE all over Canada and USA. And that's what we've been doing for the last, at Cognisco since 2005, but personally, and as well as for Stephen, we've been in the educational business for over 30 years. So basically from CNC machining to electronics, metrology, heavy equipment operation training, millwright, and of course, welding and spray painting, we have a solution for your school. So if you want to have more information on what other products we have, we invite you to visit us at our website for more details, or do not hesitate to contact us or Mark at GES. So in a nutshell, SkillVeri is a new player in the virtual reality, extended reality business. But their solution is a game changer. As traditionally, you would need a simulator for welding and a completely different one for spray painting. With SkillVeri, both are now available using the same hardware. So you may have never noticed this, but welding and spray painting have a lot in common. Both trades requires from the students to master 3 key elements that are totally identical for both spray painting and welding: distance, speed, and angle. So from a programming perspective, we are actually measuring those 3 elements and put them into a virtual environment to reflect the right context and for the students, and to make their learning meaningful. So basically, with, as previously said, with the same computer and a VR headset, you can train students in both welding and spray painting. So without further delay, I'll pass the microphone to Stephen. He will perform a complete demonstration of both systems. I'll be in the background with Mark Jones to answer any questions you may have on the chat. Enjoy.
And Stephen, if you don't mind, go ahead and share your screen, please.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
You see my screen now?
Totally.
So basically, the SkillVeri solution was originally offered with certain pieces of hardware and all that, but due to the current situation with the COVID, what we supply is we supply a software solution that you load on either a gaming or a gaming PC or a gaming laptop. So hardware is commercially available off the shelf. And what we do is we have an installer, you install the software on that machine, and it will run the virtual reality software. Now, in order to run the virtual reality itself, you need also commercially available off the shelf components. And these could be either a Vive, an HTC Vive system, or Oculus Rift S or Oculus Quest. I'm sure some of you are already familiar with those trade names. They're becoming very ubiquitous today. Students know how to operate those systems. They're very user-friendly, and they're very precise, and they give very good results as far as the time of response. You know, when in order never to get a seasickness or motion sickness whatsoever. So basically you need an HTC Vive kit and a PC, and we provide the software to run on those systems. And as I said, they're all commercially available, so therefore also the depreciation as opposed to packaged type simulators is very low, because you reuse the same hardware for other purposes as well. So just to summarize, you can either have stations equipped with this system, or this one. One key factor that is very important to remember is that these systems are extremely transportable. So some schools and colleges that use our system, what they do is that they provide the hardware at the home of the student, so the student can, in the case of isolation or they cannot have access to the school, they can still practice the trade itself at home. So what I will do is I will share my screen. And show you what I see in the virtual reality environment. And I'll just share my image also. Can you see me, guys? Ajay?
Stephen, we can see your screen, full screen, and then of course a thumbnail of you in the shot.
Perfect. So you see everything. So you'll be able to see me on the caption on the left corner. You'll be able to see me moving, and you'll be able to see the actual content of my screen. So here, for example, let's say we'll start with spray paint. So here I have a touch screen, a 43-inch touch screen that I can use in the classroom as well. So now I'm going into the spray paint system. And one thing that is important, very important to mention, that's what Jean explained before, in order to master the actual motion, we have different types of exercises related to each trade. So in this case, you have the trigger mode, overlap mode, distance and angle, and speed. So what you're going to do is you're going to gradually have the student master one move at a time. So here, be able to master the trigger. The other thing, be able to master a straight line, doing the overlap. After that, being able to control the distance from the surface, depending on spray paint parameters. Third, you're going to have not only the distance, but also the angle, the twist, and the angle as opposed to the surface. So when we will be painting a door, for example, where you have a curvy shape, you have to adjust to the curvy shape. And then the last parameter that will be added on is going to be the speed at which you have to go. And you will see it's very, very, this system gives a lot of feedback and engages the student by giving this feedback and by helping he or she develop the proper position and the proper moves without having to have an instructor twist their wrist and probably be in their personal space, which is also going to become a very touchy issue by the times we are going through right now. So let me just put this helmet on. Don't forget there is a chat through which you can ask questions as you go along. So here, level 1, trigger. So you see my gun, and you see my position. So as I move closer to that surface, you will see the colors changing from yellow to green to red. Red meaning I'm too far, green I'm the right distance, yellow too close. In this particular exercise, the only thing we want to know is if the trigger is pulled at the right time. So we're checking the timing. Every time I go to one of those colored rectangles, I gotta stop the trigger and trigger again. Now, I can see afterwards very quickly my scorecard. I did very good here. The painting is not correct, but the timing when I was to start or stop the trigger was good. I was doing the start and stop perfectly every time. If I would have done it otherwise, the score will be different. I just made a real mess, starting and stopping in the wrong positions. I did a pretty extreme case here, just to see, I went too close sometimes, so the score is there. I have to improve that trigger till it's perfect. Then, like in every other mode, here I have the overlap mode. So the overlap mode will help me, depending on what they call the fan height, which is the actual covering of paint, tell me to stick to this line at the proper distance, and then be able to do the covering and the proper overlap. So let's go. I have an arrow here that gives me some cues to reposition my hand as opposed to the surface. And you see now I'm using my entire body. When you use the simulator, it becomes very natural to start making the same moves as a true spray painter. You don't even have to have someone explain to you what to do. It's the best way to do. And then I have a scorecard, which tells me now, because I had many arrows telling me to stay in the straight line, it gives me a lower result. I have other scoring here that I will show you when we paint the door. Let's go to the door. So here we'll do the distance. Level 1. So you remember, if I'm too close, yellow, green, and red. So let's start green, and you will see as I paint, if I move too close, the system will tell me move further, move closer, move further. Now I'm okay. Too far. If I go now in the scorecard, I will see that I was too far 23% of the time, too close 25% of the time, and the proper distance 52% of the time. And if I look at my movement graph, there's a movement graph here. There's a distance graph. So you see, too close in yellow, too far in red. These tools give so much feedback to the students. They can now practice, practice, practice without spending one dime of consumable. I'll try to do a good score. Remember, I'm only scored on that particular move, even though I put too much paint or whatever. It's not relevant. What's relevant is if I keep the distance correctly. And then you have increasing levels of complexity. The tolerances become more narrower, so therefore it becomes more difficult, and you gotta pay more attention to score. By the way, it's a very good tool to use in the classroom with many students because they can challenge each other and try to do better and better and better and see also who's doing what wrong. Now I'm in a mode where I don't get any cues anymore. See, if I'm too far or too close, I don't get these cues. So I'm really trying to do my best as opposed to how I created my muscle memory using the cues. So to see if I can do it without cues. A lot of instructors say, well, there's always cues. No, there's not always cues. There's a mode where you don't have cues, but you have to score. So you have to reproduce what you've done. So it seems I didn't do a good job here. So if I look at my movement graph, it'll tell me where I screwed up. Now I have a replace. Ah, okay. This is where I made my mistakes. I was too far most of the time, so that tells me next time to move closer. Then we have the other mode, where we're going to be looking at the score using the angle also. Let's take a door. That'll be more fun because now I have to work out the angles. You know, I have to be perpendicular to that surface, and that surface is curved from what you can see, and I'll have to bend very low to do it correctly. So you'll see here, I have those two squares that tell me if I'm right as opposed to the surface. I got to keep those two squares, one inside each other, and as squarely as possible in order not to have the twist angle too much, you know? So let's do it. Wrong angle, wrong angle. Let's look at the scorecard. So you see the scorecard now includes not only the distance, but also the different angles. So my rotational angle was okay, the twist. But here, I intentionally made it such that I have to check these out. So if I look at my movement graph, I have the distance graph, which was okay. Speed graph, horizontal angle. So I wasn't too good at certain spots, and the vertical angle was also messed up here. So as I see this, I have to improve my score. By the way, you can also see how much paint you applied. The blue here is no paint. The red is where I have sag. Green is where it's ideal. Less is orange, and yellow is not enough. So ideally, it should be green. And if I follow all the cues, I will have green. This is the overlap map where I did proper overlapping and whatnot. And the holiday map just telling me where I did not apply any paint. We also have consumption. Video replay if you want to see the video replay. So the last mode is going to be all parameters. And then we'll move on to the welding, which is basically the same principle of scoring. So here I'll do my best. You see the speed of dial there? I have to keep the arrow in the green. Let's see the result. I did go too slow in certain spots here. If I look at the thickness map, and if I look at the movement map, see where I have red is where I was going too slow when I'm looking at the speed map. So what I will do now is I will move on to the welding. So as I said, in the same environment, we have the welding. So here I have the welding system. The standard package comes with the MIG or the GMA and the SMOC, MIG and stick. The TIG is also a possible option.
Stephen, talk for just a minute about the hardware again, just to make sure everyone knows that the hardware could be the hardware used from the Oculus set, for example, or the hardware could actually be the actual devices used, the wands used in welding, the welders used in welding. In other words, you can actually use a physical hardware that you'd see in the shop, correct?
You could use, you can buy from us the real gun, and it comes with an attachment for the HTC system. This will only run with HTC because HTC is the only VR system that provides what they call trackers, which allow you to incorporate more moving devices in the 3D environment. Oculus Rift only has those handheld controllers, if this is clear.
Understood.
So, so those we can provide this for also the spray gun. Of course, there's an increasing cost. The gaming controllers are a cheaper option. So here, I have the different types of weld joints. So let's say I select the 3G. Again, same principle. I have the angle. Then I have the angle and stick out, and angle, stick out, and speed. And I have an exams pass where the score is logged on for each student. So let's go with this one. The layout is a little bit different, but here I have my scorecard that's always available. And I have a few parameters so I can set up, for example, the lighting or the height of my plate. If I move too fast, where it's a bit choppy, it's because of the Zoom webcast software. So I'm trying to move as slow. Now, I'm sure you probably hear the noise a little bit. You have the snap, crackle, pop noise.
Yes.
So now what I'm doing is, I've got this angle. If you see the angle, when it's too much, it becomes red. The travel angle becomes red. And you see the travel angle is not doing very good. The work angle is doing okay. Let's get the work angle wrong. So I got to keep the hairline with both hairlines in the green square to score correctly. See, and as I go along, the scorecard gets updated. The path is I should be, if I move, I got the arrow telling me to stay in the middle. So all these cues again help me position my hand. I can reset in time I want, do better. So the name of the game here is that these students practice, 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 and try to become better and better and better at each parameter. Very good for students with remedial problem. Very good with rookie students, as you can test their skills, make them more safe and also more confident before they go in the booth. It's very intimidating.
Stephen, sorry for interrupting, but we have few people that have asked information on pricing. Could you explain the business model?
The business model is the more you buy, we have a business model as opposed to other probably competing products, that you buy only the software license. And if you buy 2, 3, 4 units, the price goes down. What would be good is to see from what you have, how many stations you might need for your high school or for your school, and then we can figure the best price. The other thing is we also have a leasing option. Therefore, you can afford to have more, to have licenses instead of doing a straight out purchase.
Because the challenge in buying those kinds of simulator is that usually they're anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 a pop, which makes it almost impossible for any regular high school to afford more than one. And what do you do with only one simulator when you have 16 or 20 students is very difficult to answer. So our business model is really to offer flexibility as far as number of workstations are concerned, as far as purchasing the software or leasing the software. And if you have very specific questions, feel free to contact Mark, myself, or Stephen, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with very specific answers.
Jean, as far as professional development and training, are you guys able to help virtually any customers in Tennessee from your positions there?
Most definitely. We're already doing it with a lot of customers across Canada. So it's, I mean, what you see right now, we're using Zoom on a daily basis. We're paying customer for Zoom and we're using it on a daily basis. And that's how we support all of our customers, regardless of where they are.
So as far as pricing goes, I guess getting with the district, finding out how many students are in the class, what is their model for teaching? Is it a hybrid model? Are students coming back to school right away? Is everyone homebound right away? Finding out if the district could provide the hardware, meaning...
Yeah, exactly. These are the questions we have, but we have a very, I would say, reasonable pricing.
Just as an example for people that are wondering, okay, I haven't got a real answer yet. A customer of ours here in Canada, have leased 8 kit of welding and spray painting, and his annual cost is going to be $40,000. But we're talking about 8 workstation for both welding and spray painting. So, and the more station you acquire, the lower the price is per unit.
And is that including hardware, Jean, or are they supplying their computers, their hardware?
They're supplying their computers and their HTC. We work in collaboration with them. We provide them with the basic minimum requirements that are requested. Once they have spotted a computer model, they send us, hey, would that fit the bill? We confirm, then they buy the computer. And once they have the computer, we can install the software remotely. And we also provide training from a distance, obviously. We have to be creative with this current situation.
Understood.
What I would recommend is anyone now online with us, maybe to send us an email. I think we're reachable for this, and maybe we can do like a one-on-one demonstration and also discuss the particular setup for either a school board or a number of schools, you know, in the same school district.
So guys, here's a very direct question from Mr. Chandler, and he's asked a couple times. So let's try to get him a solid answer here. What would it cost for just one software license to test drive and see how well all of this works in his lab?
$2,500.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's an annual license for $2,500 for one unit.
So for
of either spray painting or welding.
Yeah, if you want both, if you want both,
is Mr. Chandler a welding or spray painting instructor?
We will wait and see in a moment here.
and if he wants both, it's an added half price. So the second simulation process, spray paint, the first process, either spray paint or welding, is going to be 2,500, and
plus 1,250.
process is going to be half of that.
Understood. Yeah, Mr. Chandler is a welding instructor,
Okay.
so 2,500 for all the welding content. He supplies his hardware.
Exactly.
He says he has paint and refinishing at the school as well. So if my numbers are correct, we'd be looking at around $3,750 for both packages.
That's it. What we can do, Mr. Chandler, if you want, if you have an Oculus package at your school and a computer that has the basic requirements of what we need to run this software, we can also install it for a month so you can try it out.
So you're saying they could test drive it for a period of time at no cost?
Yes.
Yes. That's the other thing most people don't do.
Now, obviously, that trial would be with the hand controller from HTC or Oculus, not the gun, because the guns are extra. But at least during that trial, they'll be able to test the quality of the simulation and the feedback that the system provides the student.
Understood.
And the instructor.
Understood. How long would the trial run, Jean?
With a month. 1 month.
Okay.
Similar business model as the Nexus. We just need to have a schedule a date to make the installation and help out on the registration of the trial key, but that's it.
Okay.
I believe we are 10 minutes before the end of this session.
That is correct. Let's ask another question here from Mr. Chandler. Could we find, or could you please pass along the computer specs, either as a file upload on the GTR site?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, we'll send them an email. Just gonna run. This is a challenge. So now I gotta go around.
So this one is for you, Mr. Chandler.
This is tough. So now what this does is it analyzes the weld itself. And now I can see, I can also look at the cross section, look at the weld. You can also do a replay mode to see the video of the student.
For me, the amazing part of this is all about the fact that the student can practice that muscle memory from anywhere. You know, it's all about practice. And
No need for instructor supervision.
so we have a great comment from Josh Eason here. The equipment seems a bit shaky. Can you run a weld as you would as a student? And I think I'm going to kid Stephen here a little bit. We were talking about this earlier. I'm not sure how many cappuccinos Stephen's had this morning, but it could be that.
3. I had 3.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Let's see if you
What
can.
do you want to see?
On that.
I didn't understand the question correctly.
Yeah, so Josh Easton said, the equipment seems a bit shaky. Can you run a weld as you would as a student? In other words, really run a nice bead from top to bottom, do your best.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Here's your test, Stephen.
I'll take it. I haven't done this one often. I want to look good. I'll do something that I know. And the 3G plate is one where I can keep my hand steady. At some point, I don't really have to look at this angle anymore because I'm developing this compensation, I would say, in an intuitive fashion. I can assure you that a student that spends hours on this thing will waste a lot less of your consumable and your time in the booth.
I'm going to tell you that's a lot better than I could do.
It also depends on the distancing problem you might face, you know, when students come back. With this, you can have them practice. The arm twisting is done by those cues. And if you don't want those cues, what you do is, for example, if I exit this mode, I can go into this mode where I don't have any cues. So now I gotta keep my hand steady with no feedback. So I really concentrate on the actual tip of the tool, because there's nothing else to look at. And now I'm welding. My score is not bad.
Jean, is it able to identify the defects in the weld?
Stephen has more experience with the welding section. I'm more experienced with the spray painting unit.
What it does now is that it tells you where you're missing material.
Steve?
Yeah.
We only see the screen that's showing up on your touch screen, which is where you have to select things.
Oh, shit. Hold on. It's strange.
There you go. We're at the less than 5 minute mark, guys. We're at 1:11, so we've got 4 minutes here.
So you see here, it was because of the thickness of this plate, depending on the welding parameter setup that I have, this is a multi-pass plate.
Well,
so I have to do another pass here. Oh, I clicked on the wrong button. But I have to do another pass.
but to
And then
answer,
again, I'm not an expert welder, but
to answer David Carter's questions about the identification of defects in the weld, I have a new version of the software on my laptop, and I tried it out this morning, and the answer is yes, Mr. Carter.
it's a beta version. I don't use it for demonstrations yet.
Yes, it's true. We are not welders by trade, the three of us.
No.
So
It would be tough to have all the, you see here in my second pass, I have some spots that I miss. You know, we sell other software like CNC, metrology, and you know, we're pretty good for service and training, but when it comes to the actual trade itself, there are certain missing spots here.
okay, guys, we're at the 2 minute mark here. Any other questions, folks, that you might have? I have put in the chat Jean Lariviere's email address. It's Jean, J-A-E-N, at cogniscotech.com. There in the chat. And I know these guys will be happy to field any direct pricing questions, any technical questions moving forward. Obviously, the folks at the Tennessee DOE, as well as the CTE Institute, will have all of our contact information moving forward as well.
And for all of you, the keyword, the buzzword that you're all waiting for is excellent.
Excellent.
Which I guess is a perfect keyword to thank you all for being part of this presentation. And as Mark has mentioned, we have all of our contact information in the chat section. So feel free to send us an email, and we'll be more than happy to entertain a more direct conversation with each of you individually.
And please remember the polls and survey. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Justin.
Stephen. Thanks, John. Nice job, guys.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm going to close the meeting now. Thank you very much. Take care. See you at 2:30 with Career Team Soft Skills. See you, Stephen.
Bye.